kill it. I was meant to win. I am down and willing, so I will find a way. It took a minute, now it didn't happen right away. When it get hot in the kitchen, you decide to stay. That's how it winners made. Stick a fork in the hater on my dinner plate. I walk into the fire like it's just a bit of flame. I switch my style up with the money pile up. I'ma get rich with life.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Clydesdale Media Podcast, where we are highlighting the athletes of the 2024 CrossFit Semifinals. And I have with me the one and only Cam Crockett. What's going on, Cam?
Nothing much. How are you?
I'm good. This is 3 years in a row now, man.
Yeah. Or when did you start doing these? 21 or 22?
21.
21. So this is the fourth year then.
Make that 22.
Okay, third.
Yeah, this is our third year.
I know, it's a cool little like tradition now. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I've known you for a while now. Knew you even before this series.
Yeah.
Because during the COVID year, I was a judge at Rogue for one Mr. Saxon Panchek, and you happened to be there, kind of rooting him on. So that's where we met for the first time. Before I get into anything full detail, I have a huge question for you.
Yeah.
So I was doing some research on you, and I pulled up your information, and this was your profile picture.
Yeah. I don't remember when I made that, or background or profile picture, whatever it is for CrossFit.com. But yeah, I just thought it was funny. Like everyone else had like either no picture or like something serious. So I was like, I'm just put some chicken nuggets up there.
Yeah, and they look like a McDonald's chicken nugget.
Yeah, they're just like McNuggets.
Yeah, they got the figure eight shape, like a good old McDonald's chicken nugget. So
yeah, I probably did that back in like 2018, 2017, something like that.
It just never changed it.
Yeah, just had to keep it.
Yeah, I had Jack Rosema on last night, and his profile pic is his freshman college wrestling picture.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
And no facial hair, like the serious wrestler stare down.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, Jack's a good dude.
Yeah. And any affinity for chicken nuggets or just trying to be funny?
I just thought it was funny. Didn't know if anyone was going to see it or not, but I just thought it was funny.
Here we are in 2024. Someone saw it.
Yeah.
And now the whole audience gets a chance.
Yeah, awesome.
So we've been doing this a while. You came in to last year in the best seating you'd ever done before.
Yeah.
And it didn't kind of play out that way at the semifinals on the floor.
Yeah.
So what did you learn in that moment last year when you were going through all that?
I mean, definitely learned what some weaknesses were. I always kind of knew that like the heavy, because I feel like a lot of the workouts last year was just like kind of heavy, like brute strength. And we had that sled pull in event one that was just so like the second I would try to pull it, my feet would just slide out from under me. And it took like so much effort just to get that sled moving. And in practice, the sled was like not a big deal at all. Like I thought it was all about the machines. And then in reality, the machines kind of meant nothing and the sled meant like everything. And then workout two, those ruck muscle ups, I had a hard time getting them like when they announced it, but I was able to do them. But in the process, like I just kept, because it took me a bit to like finally get them, that I was just hammering them for like the whole like week or two leading up to semifinals. And that just blew up my shoulder. Like my right shoulder, just anytime even like in the warm-up area, after doing one, my shoulder was just on fire. And like I couldn't really do much with it. So I just kind of sat there in the event and just kept trying to get as many as I could. Didn't get a whole lot. And that kind of made the rest of the weekend a lot harder. Like when we had the heavy dumbbells for Linda, it just made it like those like it was my right arm, my right shoulder that just kept failing. So I like really had to like slow down and break it up. And then we had that 1 rep max snatch, and like every single snatch I did, it felt like my right shoulder was just going to give out. And we had overhead squats and handstand push-ups, and that didn't make it any easier. So I tried taping it up, getting it worked on as best I could. I was still proud like how I did in semifinals, but it was like if you wanted to program a competition for me to do bad, that was it. Like shoulder or not, like it was everything I was bad at.
So was the shoulder injured or were just overuse?
I think it was just overuse because I didn't do anything to rehab it or anything. Just like took time off after semifinals, and it's fine now.
Okay. So that brings me to an interesting question, right? The workouts are already out.
Yeah.
They came out, leaked out, came out early.
Yeah.
So you kind of know what they are.
I don't think they intended to release them that soon.
I don't think so either.
No.
But now the athletes have them in their hands. And how do you not do the same thing this year that you did last year and not overdo it on what you know?
Yeah, well, thankfully this year these workouts are actually like pretty good for me. It's a lot of things that I'm good at, and thankfully, at least as for right now, they haven't announced any like weird gymnastics or like stuff like that. It's all what I love about it is it's all pretty like simple workouts. It's like kind of pretty classic CrossFit. There's nothing like there's no pirouette like handstand walks. There's no like sled, and there could be. Who knows? Yeah, as far as I know, it's not. They're not weird. There's no ruck for muscle ups or anything. There's no like sled that we have to pull on the ground. That was like it was like a weird cloth like nylon sled too, so it just made it even worse. Like yeah, so far there's nothing weird. It's just all pretty straightforward, like just kind of classic CrossFit, which is what I really like.
I don't know if you saw Boz on the barbell spin the other night.
No.
He did give some clarification to some of the workouts.
Okay.
Where the lunge with the dumbbells is farmer's carry.
Perfect. That's what I practice.
And
it's hard enough with the farmer's carry.
That the run is not on a machine.
Yeah, I saw that. That it's going to be like they're doing like laps on the floor, I think.
I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but they're setting it up as a run somehow. May go outside the venue in some places.
Yeah.
So it's going to vary from place to place. And then they asked him about the handstand walk, and he would not give any clarification.
Okay.
Meaning that there's got to be something to it.
Yeah, that makes me a little nervous, but yeah.
Now what that is, not a clue.
I can, but like, yeah, high skill gymnastics has always kind of not been my strongest thing. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, and thankfully, we're week 3 this year, so we'll find out what they're doing week 1 and be able to practice it a little bit.
But not over practice.
Yeah, not overdo it again. I think it was just that ruck because I was not the only athlete that had problems like injury wise with that ruck. Like Alex Caron sucked what happened to him because he got kicked out for it, but he just stood there because he heard it practicing it. And I think there was another guy in the East that like had problems with it too. So like I was not the only one that had some sort of injury issue with that ruck.
Yeah, Alex had that pec and that took him out pretty hard.
Yeah, that sucked. I think the only reason I didn't get like withdrawn, like CrossFit didn't withdraw me, is that I kept trying. Like, because he just didn't even try. He just stood there. And I kept trying to do muscle ups and it just wasn't happening. It's like my shoulders would not allow it. But I got a few of them, but not a lot. But I think because I kept trying, they didn't withdraw me.
So you said you've looked at the workouts and you're definitely happier this year than last.
Oh, yeah.
The way they look. It's very much classic CrossFit. We've talked about this with a lot of the athletes of this week, and it's like you could drop them in 2015.
Yeah.
And it still would fit.
Yeah, which I always really, the older regionals workouts are like some of my favorite workouts that I've done. Like I love those workouts. So yeah, this reminds me a lot of that, which I really like.
So before last year, you were really trending in a good direction of like climbing the leaderboard. Do you feel this year now you have that shot again?
So this year is a lot different. I've made a ton of changes this year, like just in life. I'm a firefighter now. So I basically took like 4 months off this summer, fall, winter, kind of like barely training or not training CrossFit at all because I was in the fire academy for a few months. And then after that, I was in EMT school for a few months or a little over a month. So like that whole time I was there, I was not really training, like at CrossFit at least. Like fire school, it's plenty hard without doing CrossFit, like all the stuff we do there. So that was good. But like EMT school was just 6 weeks in a classroom all day, every day. So like not a whole lot of physical activity. So I was in that, and I graduated from EMT school the day of the Open starting this year. So like I was not in very good shape in the Open, and like I didn't finish very well like on the leaderboard. But I didn't even think I was going to qualify for semifinals this year, and I was kind of like okay with it. Like I'm going to do regionals, I'm going to try. Part of me didn't even want to do regionals because it was just like stressful, but not regionals, sorry, quarterfinals. And but I still did it, and I was completely surprised myself. Like not only I thought I was like I'm either not going to make it or I'm going to like barely squeak in, and I ended up I think 19th after all the penalties and stuff. So I was very surprised with how I did in quarterfinals. And I mean, this year, like last year, I went to Mayhem to do quarterfinals. This year, I was completely on my own, just like some friends of ours at the gym were doing it, and was do the workouts. And I had no idea if my like scores were good or not. Like I was texting Amanda, and I was like, "Do you think this is good? Like I have no idea. Should I redo this workout?" And then when the first two scores came out, and I was like sitting in the top 20, I was like, "Oh, yes, I am doing pretty good, and I'm in pretty good shape." So
Yeah.
and then I was like, I'm not like because I haven't really been able to train as much this year. Like I haven't trained nearly as much this year as I did in previous years. That I was like, I'm just like not even gonna put any pressure on semifinals. Just like do the best I can, everything. And then the workouts got announced. I was like, damn it, these are actually really good workouts for me. So that kind of put a lot more pressure on training and everything since then.
So now that you're through school, you're working as a full-time firefighter?
Yeah, working full time. I'm actually not done with school. I'm only done with fire and EMT school. In our department, everyone has to be a paramedic. So I start paramedic school end of June, and that's a whole year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but thankfully it's local. For fire and EMT school, I had to go down to the state fire academy in Columbus, and like we stayed in dorms down there Monday through Friday, and then like come home on the weekends.
You didn't drop by for dinner or say hi?
No, I should have, but it was when we weren't in class, it was studying.
You probably drove by my house on the way home, man.
I probably did. It's in Reynoldsburg.
Right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I know you're in Reynoldsburg.
I'm not. I'm actually north of the city, like
Okay.
the Polaris area.
Okay. Yeah. So I definitely drove through there.
Yeah. To get back on 71, you definitely went past my house.
Yeah, I probably did.
But yeah, Reynoldsburg, it's funny. When my daughter was born and she was young, which was many moons ago, that fire academy used to be a drive-in.
Really?
Yeah. So we used to go down there to the drive-in theater when she was a baby. So my wife and I could watch adult movies and she would just fall asleep in the back seat.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
And then they
really
closed
nice
it down to build the fire academy.
Yeah. Yeah. The fire academy is awesome. It's a really cool place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of land to do a lot of cool things.
Yeah. They have a lot of cool stuff there.
Yeah.
Like departments from all over the state go there to use the stuff they have.
So, always been a dream to be a firefighter?
I mean, my mom's pulled up a bunch of pictures now of me as a little kid dressing as a firefighter or like for birthdays and stuff, like firefighter themed. So I know it's kind of always like in the back of my mind to at least like look into it or like maybe like something I would want to do. Especially if like the army didn't work out, which I'm not in the army anymore, so it kind of didn't work out. And then it's kind of funny how it happened. So there's been multiple firefighters in our gym. I'm sure every CrossFit gym has a bunch of them. But there was one that I just texted and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about going to the fire academy. Like, just want to know if I could like call you sometime or meet up and talk about it. He's like, actually, our department is hiring and the deadline where we're like sending people with no certifications and anything through all the school and like paying for it and all that. And the deadline is tomorrow. So Like if you want to do it, get your application in. So I got my application in, and then did all the interviews and ride-alongs and stuff, and then got hired. So I
Really
got
cool.
hired end of July last year.
And so when we were talking to schedule this, you work that like 1 day on, 2 days off?
Yeah, 24 on, 48 off.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is actually it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I can imagine. And then when we talked last year, you had like just got married?
I think we got married June 9th last year. So I think it was a little bit, we got married like a few weeks after semifinals. And it was actually funny. I got married on a Friday. The next Monday was I do a ride along for the department. So it was like right after our wedding. But yeah, we got married last summer.
That's quite the honeymoon. What do you think of that?
That was pretty good. We haven't gone on a honeymoon yet. We just like haven't been able to.
You got to do the ride along. She didn't get to come with you?
No. No, she's hung out at the station though a couple times. She already knows some of the people that are at the department. Like it's kind of weird. Like almost half of the department has had some affiliation with Cadre, the gym I go to at some point. So she already knows like a bunch of.
So the Amanda you mentioned, and this was kind of in my notes, is last year she was your training partner, and that is Amanda Barnhart, CrossFit legend, multiple time games athlete. She had an off season where she was injured and not able to really do a lot.
Yeah.
You took kind of an off season off. So, and now she's back healthy and doing pretty well have you guys linked up to train again?
Yeah, I actually just got back from her gym like an hour or so ago.
So just like an old sock, it just fit again and you guys are back at it?
Yeah, it kind of worked out kind of weird. Like she didn't really train. We were kind of in the same boat. Like she didn't really get to train a whole lot during the summer and like fall because of like her injury. And then I didn't get to train a whole lot because I was at school. So we were like kind of both in the same boat a little bit. As far as like just being stressed, not knowing how quarterfinals or the season was going to go. I mean, but so far it's going pretty well. And yeah, she seems super fit right now.
So what's it like having someone like that as support when you're both anxious in this time because you haven't been able to put in the work that you have in years past?
Yeah, it's been super helpful. Like basically knowing that like when it's like when you're super stressed or beat up and you're thinking like it sucks looking on Instagram because then you see people that are like they're crushing this and they're doing all this and you're like, well, I'm not. And then she's like, it's okay. Like that's perfectly fine. Like no one is 100% all the time. Like a lot of times you don't feel good. Like you're maybe not like you have a whole list of stuff. Like you have like 6 things you want to do that day and you only have enough energy or like time to get through like 3 of them. Like that's perfectly that happens. Like it's not ideal, but it does happen. Like it's okay.
Yeah, Instagram comparison is just
it sucks. That sucked when I was at fire and EMT school, not really training, and I was like seeing all the stuff people were doing. Like, yeah, that was not fun to kind of look at.
So yeah, it's comparison is a thief of joy. You know, I know that's a famous saying, but it is so true. And especially in this era with everybody posting their highlight reels on a social media.
Yeah. And even like just comparing, like both of us were kind of going through it, comparing our own selves to where we were last year. Because last year we were both like we both finished top 10 in the open. We both had really won the quarterfinals. We both just felt really fit last year. And then this year we don't even though we are still fit, we're just not as fit as we don't feel or whatever as fit as we were last year. And it's like, that's another thing that can cause you to like kind of doubt yourself and like be a little anxious and freak out a little bit. So it's kind of nice to have someone else tell you that like that's like it's fine.
Now you're just pouring salt in my wound, dude. Because when I had my back injury in 2017, like for the next couple years, all I did was compare today's Scott to the old Scott, and it never worked out well. It wasn't until I realized I'm just a different Scott now, and I have to go
Yeah.
down my new path. Did I find happiness again?
Yeah. My cat is getting in the camera. That's another change for this year. We got a cat.
It's all good, man.
Yeah.
My dog's been barking at every prime driver as we've been talking. So
No, I've been petting my dog the whole time because he's anxious.
yeah. So so that lends itself to a really interesting question. I know in years past we've talked and you've had really focused goals on trying to make the games.
Yeah.
And you had a belief in yourself that you were able to do that. Now with all this other stuff on your plate, do you have different priorities?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like now the priorities kind of shifted that like I mean we just got married. We want to eventually have kids, like save up for a house and all of that. And like all I was doing last year was pretty much just like coaching CrossFit like as much as I could to make as much money as I could. But like that's not really like a good financial future or something like that. So now that uh like I have a career that like I'm gonna do for the next 25, 30 years, like who knows, like that's kind of been a little bit more stable and like just different, and it's been a ton of fun. It's almost like getting like my mind off of training and like just something else to focus on, like starting else something new. Like I'm focusing on training to be like a good firefighter, to be a good paramedic, like once I go through school and everything. So it kind of does keep my mind off of competing for a little bit. And like I kind of almost wrote off this year, like and next year, because I'll be in paramedic school next year, that like it's okay if it doesn't happen right now. Like there's other things that are more important. But I was still able to qualify for semifinals this year, like in a pretty good spot. So it's kind of nice to know that like my whole life doesn't have to revolve around training and CrossFit to still like do well at it.
How old are you?
26 now.
So you actually still have some time if
Yeah, I know. And then like my wife's reminded me of that too. She's like, it's not like it's okay if like the next 2 years like don't go well. Like you'll be 28 at that point. Like there's plenty of games athletes that are older than that.
so let me ask you this with these different priorities and the sole focus not being on training and you have all these other obligations. You look at someone like Ariel Lowen, who when she was the sole focus, she couldn't make the games.
Yeah.
When she did it for fun and it wasn't really the focus and she just wanted a cool sign for her garage, she's become one of the best CrossFitters in the world.
Like makes the podium at the games.
Right.
Yeah, I think there is an element of that. Like last year I put so much like worth and like pressure in myself to like try to make the games and everything. And basically I was like just super like that's all I did all year was just train and then think about training, think about competing, and like now I'm not. And yeah, it's almost like kind of turned out better.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that you work out with Amanda because I think the same things with her. She has so much more in her life right now.
Yeah.
And not that good or bad or indifferent, whatever. It's just she has to focus on different things.
Yeah.
I wonder if that takes some of the pressure off and she actually does better this year.
Yeah, maybe. Like we'll see. I mean, it's still hard enough. I think he's Kingston's 5 now. Like raising a 5-year-old is definitely not easy by any means. Like
Right.
even like on her days off from training, like she doesn't really have a day off. Like now she's like has to be a mom and kind of just like thrown into it. Like there was no build up or anything. Just like here you are. Like here's a 5-year-old.
Yeah. And we actually had her scheduled for yesterday, but those things pop up and she
told me about that.
Yeah. And she promised to come on later and I'm super excited to talk to her and catch up. But yeah, I've been a dad. I know what it's like. You think you're going down this route and all of a sudden, nope, we're going over here. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother set of challenges that I don't have yet. And like, we'll see when we get there, what it's like. 'Cause I'm sure it's no matter what anybody says about having kids, you don't really know until you do.
Do you still consider yourself a Mayhem athlete?
So that's another change that we made this year. Because I started training with Amanda and she's HWPO, like last year I would do whatever she did like when I went over there to train with her, and then I would do like Mayhem stuff when I was on my own. And that just got it was like too much and too complicated trying to like, oh, well, we did wall balls yesterday and Mayhem wants wall balls today. Like, how do we want to scale that? Or like when I would go train with her, it's like, oh, I already did that yesterday. So I need to like figure out something different. So I decided like to switch to HWPO for this year. Which kind of like, it's kind of bittersweet because like it's cool. Like it's a cool change to be a part of like a different training camp or company, especially a younger one that's like up and coming. And Mayhem's like very well established. And Mayhem was great. Like couldn't have asked anything more from them. Like they were awesome. When I went down there the few times I did, they like were nothing but like super kind and polite and welcoming. So it was like I followed like Rich was one of the reasons I got into like wanted to compete in CrossFit. And like so Mayhem's always kind of been a part of like my CrossFit like journey, like just following what they do and then competing under them. So it was kind of hard to like decide to kind of leave Mayhem and go to somewhere else.
So that brings up another question for me. How much different are the programmings?
They're really like not a ton different. I mean, there's small things here and there, like, and there's things I liked about Mayhem more. There's things I like about HWPO more. I think it's completely just personal preference. And I've heard athletes say this before, like the training program you do really, it matters and it doesn't matter. And if you don't put in the work, you're not going to make it. It's like if you work hard, like you can make it. It doesn't really matter exactly which program you do. Like there's people who have made it to the games multiple years in a row, and if they like go to the games 5 times in a row, they might be with 3 different training programs in those 5 years. Like it matters, but also it kind of doesn't. It's kind of just whatever you like, and it just fit for me to do it. It just made sense and fit for me to do HWPO because like it just made everything consistent with training with Amanda.
Yeah, my old gym, we used to do comp train,
Mm-hmm.
and it for me it just felt like less fun.
Yeah.
Like it was designed for a competitor, and I'm not. I'm there to get fit in an hour, and go home, right? And a ton of like dumbbell work.
Yeah.
Now that I'm at Polaris with Christy,
Mm-hmm.
like theirs is all interval work, and I could not love it more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's always like, it is completely personal preference. Like some people just love one type of training more than the other. Like my affiliate Cadre, they're a Mayhem affiliate. Like they do Mayhem class workouts and they're fun workouts to coach. Like it's definitely working. Like people are getting fit. So
yeah, my old gym switched to Mayhem, and some of them are still my friends from there are still co-hosts on different shows I have here, so I get a flavor of it, and it seems great.
Yeah, it is. They're
super
good about like even for the coaches, they give notes and like all this stuff on like how to like help run the class or the goals or stimulus or scaling options. So they definitely know what they're doing for like programming for classes and stuff.
So you go to Cadre. Mike Richardson's there, right?
Yeah, and Mike Richards he's my lieutenant at the fire department too.
That was where I was going.
Yeah,
he is a CrossFit floor announcer. For people who don't know, one of the most famous voices you'll hear at semifinals in the games, walking around doing his thing, and he is a firefighter in Ohio here, and so he's your lieutenant.
Yeah, he's my lieutenant, so he's technically my boss. He's in charge of me.
Did you know him before going into the fire department?
Oh yeah, I've known him since like 2015 when I first joined Cadre. So I've known him for a really long time. Never thought I'd be working for him or with him, but yeah, now I am. So it's actually kind of cool. And actually, someone else that's on my shift is Joe Weigel. He went to the games in 2011. Him and his wife were on the team that got second in 2012. He went to regionals in like 2013 and 2014, and then he's kind of like doing his own thing. But yeah, he's also on my shift.
Oh wow! So is it possible that Mike calls your action in Knoxville?
Yeah, I think he is doing syndicate.
So your boss could be the one on the floor calling
Yeah,
your action going up in a heat.
is a possibility.
It's kind of cool.
I've asked him. I was like, "Is that like a conflict of interest? Like, is that bad?" But he's like, "Nah."
It doesn't affect the outcome, right?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Unless he's telling you, like, unless he's yelling, Cam, pick it up, let's go.
Yeah,
Right.
in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, he doesn't. Yeah, he hasn't told me any. I don't even know if he knows anything about the events or anything. But yeah, he said he won't reveal anything.
Yeah. He's a really good dude. One of my favorite people to see when I'm out on the road.
Yeah, he's a fun guy to be around for 24 hours.
Yeah. Is he hard on the group or is he pretty supportive?
He's pretty supportive. I mean, every one of my shifts, we kind of tend to know what we need to do, and we all get it done. Like, he doesn't have to like yell at us or anything all that much. So
you said going into this year, you didn't have like high expectations of semis. Then you saw the workouts and you're like, oh shoot, they're actually good for me. Did that change your perspective? And do you have a goal?
Yeah, it definitely did. And like maybe not a great way, because now I put a lot more. I was just talking with Amanda about this earlier today. But it's like I have way more stress now than I thought. I've almost like more stress this year than last year, because I know that like I have a pretty good shot, and these workouts are like very good for me. Which like last year I knew the workouts were going to be, still thought I had a shot, but I knew the workouts are going to be rough. And then this year I'm like, well, damn it. Like I kind of didn't want to have like a ton of pressure, and now I do.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think I have a shot this year.
Okay, as always, man, it's such a treat catching up with you every year.
Yeah.
Cool tradition. Glad to hear everything's going well in your personal life. Thanks. And you're still killing it out there on the competition floor.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
An old guy is asking this question, and you probably get the reference, but any relation to Sonny Crockett?
No, I've heard that multiple times. Either that or Davy Crockett. But no.
Yeah, I'd take Sonny over Davy.
Yeah, I mean, people call me Davy. I didn't hear Sonny until I joined the Army, but pretty much my whole life people call me Davy.
Yeah. Sonny got to drive the Ferrari.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Davy was in a coonskin hat and climbing in the mountains.
Yeah, he did some cool stuff though.
Yeah. As Corey says, he was the king of the wild frontier.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So, oh man, old man humor is just. So, with that, dude, I think I'm gonna be in Knoxville.
Yeah.
So we'll be rooting for you as always, man. You know I'm a big fan, and we'll be rooting you on, dude.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for doing this every year. It's always really cool.
Yeah, and everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here. We'll see everybody next time on the Clydesdale Media Podcast. Bye, guys.